We were just watching a clip about inclusion films, and so we wanted to talk just for a second about how you are involved with inclusion films.
Right. My latest project is called Be Safe, and it's a safety film made for and by young adults on the spectrum and with similar disabilities. And the point of it is to teach them how to interact safely with the police. You know, I've done a lot of police training,
Yes.
including LAPD. I have helped write the state training for autism for all of the police. And the police need to know stuff about autism, but people with autism need to know stuff about the police.
Yes.
We can't put all the responsibility on the police to know everything. They can't know everything.
Right.
But what if we can step back and say, what skills would be essential for young people on the spectrum and similar disabilities? As you know, it helps more than people on the spectrum. What do they need to know to prevent escalation, to stay calm in an emergency, and have it all turn out much better than it was gonna?
Yeah, absolutely. And the film is not out yet.
It's coming.
It's coming. But who is the target audience for what age range?
It's 14 to adults.
Okay.
And we hope that this movie, it's called Be Safe, the movie, that'll be used in transition programs, that people will put goals in their IEPs so that these skills are worked on.
Yeah.
Because how do you become a safe adult prepared for the world, which is the purpose of education,
Right.
if you don't work on these skills? And you're not going to work on them if they're not IEP goals.
So how are you getting the word out about it, Emily?
Well, it's a grassroots thing. Again, it's a project I did by myself because I really felt the need. I had a vision of it in my mind from start to finish, and it actually was inspired by the work I was doing in Santa Clarita with the CLEAR committee. We said, we need to do this, and I actually did it. And so Inclusion Films was my filmmaker, Joey Travolta's group. We worked with the group up in Bakersfield.
Yes.
And the filmmakers and actors are on the spectrum.
Right.
And with their mentors, and my actors in the film are real police. So it's so authentic, and just right for this audience. And I'm also writing Be Safe Premium Edition, which is a curriculum that goes along with the movie for parents or teachers to use to enhance and bring home those messages of the film. And I've written it, of course, I'm a professor at Cal State Northridge too. So I've written the curriculum to be suitable for people across the spectrum, learners across the spectrum, and giving people ideas. Well, if it's a nonverbal person, then here's some supports you might use so that they get the same message and master the concepts.
So you're basically trying to get the word out so educators, therapists, parents can all take advantage of some of the techniques that are shown here. And they'll be able to visit besafethemovie.com to access.
They can sign up to be notified when it's ready. Okay. And they can also like us on Facebook, Be Safe the Movie on Facebook. We'll be putting out the information. It's going to be very reasonably priced and user-friendly, but basically it's video modeling. It's not just any project. It's video modeling because we know that works for everyone across the spectrum and across the age span and of all verbal and intellectual abilities. Someone can just get that picture in their head and do the right thing when the time happens, rather than like my son. His pictures about interacting with police were all from Jim Carrey movies. And we have a deal that he'll never say or do anything Jim Carrey ever said in a movie to a policeman. That was the deal, or else he couldn't drive. So people on the spectrum often have models running in their heads
that are inappropriate.
But we want the appropriate ones. So I only model positive behaviors.
And I think we have a clip, Emily, right? Our Emily?
Yes.
Okay, let's go to the clip.
Let's look at each step in the arrest process so you can be safe in this kind of situation. Even if the arrest is a mistake, follow all the steps to stay calm. You can clear up the confusion later. What is the first thing that happens in an arrest? The police tell you to stop. They might say, stop where you are. They might tell you to stand in a certain place, and that is what you should do. The police always want to be able to see your hands. They need to be sure you don't have a gun, a knife, or other weapon. The police may tell you to put your hands in the air. They often say, interlace your fingers and put your hands on your head. Always do what the police tell you. Keep your hands where the police can see them, not in a pocket or other hidden place. Next, the police will do a pat down. They will touch your arms, legs, and torso to be sure you don't have a gun, a knife, or other weapon hidden under your clothes. Be patient and hold still. If you are being arrested, the police will put handcuffs on you. They take one arm at a time and put the metal cuff on your wrist behind your back. This can feel very strange. Be patient and cooperate. Next, the police will take your wallet to check your identification. The police always check your ID to make sure that you are not wanted for another crime. Be patient and wait. Finally, the police will help you get into the police car. It could feel weird to do that with your hands behind your back and handcuffs. The police will push down the top of your head as you get into the car so you don't hit your head on the doorway. They will close the door and drive to the police station. While you are in the car, sit quietly and be patient. Later, you can ask for a lawyer before you talk to the police about what happened. You will probably spend your whole life without ever getting arrested. But just in case you do, follow all the police instructions so you can be safe.
Really important.
We are just talking as this is going on about how important this is for all of our young people on the spectrum, because so many of them, I was saying my son wouldn't have a clue. And I remember once when he was in first or second grade, there was a policeman who was out in front of the school and said something to him, and he started perseverating and talking. The policeman said, what? And Wyatt was not responding to him. And, it just, so many tragedies could be avoided if we educate our kids, and this clearly does that. So important.
That's my hope and my dream, is to prevent a tragedy, to improve an outcome, and to keep people safe, because if they can see what to do and they understand why. The nice thing about the film is, first we build it up with the information, that's what to know. Right. Then we show them what to do, and then we tell them why. And
I was just going to say, too, it's really well done. And you can tell that a teacher has put it together, because I especially liked the fact that when you were showing the scenario of the misidentification, that it started with the robbery happening so that we could see this. They said it was somebody on a skateboard. And then we go to the police, who see our kid on a skateboard, and we understand why the police are stopping him.
Well, also, the audience, if they were paying attention, knows that it's a case of mistaken identity. Yes. Because the guy in the store was wearing a black shirt and the boy on the skateboard was wearing a white shirt. So I wanted the audience to say, well, wait a minute, it is a guy on a skateboard, but they said he was wearing a black shirt and this guy isn't. Mm-hmm. I wanted the audience to kind of be aware, hey, this might not be quite right. Right. And hopefully they'll catch that.
And they go through everything that he does so that he stays safe. And what I especially loved is that after the whole thing is over, then the girl interviews the police and the kid to say, what were you thinking when that happened? Yes. And how scary was it when you were just riding your skateboard and police pulled up with guns? Mm-hmm. And what were you thinking? And to hear him say, I knew I didn't do it, but I was afraid. Yes. For people to hear that. And I thought, my son would not know that. Right. He would think that they were bad police and would want to run from them.
Which is how the tragedy happens. Yes. And I think it's so important, and you point this out too, Emily. You say how everyone, particularly the police, were so wonderful to work with in Bakersfield that worked with you on this, and a police officer, LAPD, and they want a positive outcome. Oh, yes. The police want to keep us safe. Mm-hmm. A tragedy with our kids is a tragedy for them. Yeah. We have to point this out. They are the last people that want any altercation in a tragedy.
It's heartbreaking to them. I know thousands of police. I can never serve on a jury because I have too many relationships with police. I always get kicked off a jury. I'm in the seat for a very short time during jury selection. I know lots and lots of police, and we have a very positive attitude about the police in the movie. And then we asked the policeman, why do you want to see people's hands? Mm-hmm. And the policeman says, because I want to go home to my family at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Exactly. The police were not on script. Mm-hmm. The police knew what I wanted to accomplish, and then I asked them, do what you do and say what you say. Yeah. And then in their interview, they were just people talking like, I want to go home, so I need to know that there's no gun. Yes. And when our kids hear that and understand, then they're going to show their hands.
Right.
So Joey Travolta said to me, "You know that your movie's a little repetitive, right?" Well, very carefully so.
Yeah.
It all builds. Dale O'Prandy, he's the director, he says, I get that, how it was a progression.
Yeah.
Well, it's exactly what it is.
And it's what our kids need for it to be imprinted for them.
Yes.
Well, is there anything else about this project that you'd like to say? You're trying to get the word out. What can people do to spread it?
Sure. Well, I'd love it to go viral. You know, I'm going to have some YouTube clips up, but people need to tell their friends about this because so many people need it. And when I was working with the young filmmakers at Inclusion Films, one of the kids came up to me and said, "You know, I have a friend with Down syndrome, and I think this would really help her. Couldn't it be for everybody who needs it?" I'm like, you know, that's one of the wisest things anyone's ever said to me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go with that.
Yeah.
So it is for anyone who needs extra help, kids with obsessive compulsive, attention deficits, someone who...
Auditory processing.
All sorts of things.
Yeah.
And you cover a wide variety of subjects. You cover street safety, following street signs. If the police were to come up to you, you talk about letting people know how if you're over 18, it's your choice whether and why you might let someone know that you have a difficulty.
Yeah, the
and the different ways that you may do it.
I'm wearing the same bracelet out of the movie. This is I have autism. And you know, a lot of people don't put safety jewelry on their young people with autism, but they should. They say, "Oh, he would never tolerate it," but now they have these great Velcro ones, so the metal's not against your skin.
Yeah.
And I just went on the internet and found those. But the police, if someone especially is nonverbal, and you get them to wear this because it's a color they like or a design they like, it's so important because if you can't talk, someone needs to do the talking for you or something. Now in the case of my son Tom, he's 29 now, soon to be 30. I've told you he lives with his girlfriend who's also on the spectrum. They have their own apartment, their little dogs, they both drive and work
amazing.
and they're doing very well.
Sounds like it.
He's helped me train the police before and he carries a card that says I have autism. But when he goes to get it out of his pocket, the police don't think he's reaching for a card. They think he's reaching. So we had to teach him to ask to show the card or hand it over with his license, and that's what we model in the film. Because without theory of mind, what does the policeman think I'm getting out of my pocket? I know I'm getting a card out, so he knows I'm getting a card out. But that's not how it works, does it?
Right. So many ways things can go wrong, and this is a great effort to make sure it goes right.
And you know, when you talk about ABA and discrete trial, what about stop and go? What about every child having stop and go on their IEP from the time they're 3? Because if they can start practicing stop and go when they're little, then when the police is the one that says it to them, then they'll stop or go.
I almost had an incident with Wyatt yesterday. He was coming out of, he's doing Linda Mood Bell for a couple of weeks, and he was coming out of a session, and a car was racing up the hill, and he was stepping off the curb. I didn't see a car coming, and literally I went, "Stop!" And then the car stopped, and he stopped. He could have been hit.
Sure.
So, you know, you're right, stop and go.
Really important, so basic. Taking no for an answer.
You
know, if the police says don't do that, then you don't do it. Step back, ma'am. You know. Do what they tell you. So that's how everyone can stay safe. So, you know, I'll have the Be Safe the movie, Be Safe Premium Edition with the curriculum. I'm writing it now. It's going to be over 100 pages of additional materials and ways to use the movie to teach a variety of people.
So it sounds like schools need this too.
Yes, schools
need it,
the movie too.
But parents can use it at home.
So Be Safe the movie. They can go to besafethemovie.com and they can also go to Facebook and do Be Safe the movie and like it so they can get updates about how they can
get
it
updates when it's available.
And let your friends know. That's going to help us get the word out to the people who need this.
Okay, great.